Hey, welcome again. This is Srinivas. Like I said, we have started this Mythbuster program. And as a part of that series, we will dwell on different kinds of myths that are out there in the market. One of the myths that we see is that for some reason, people think that cloud is less secure than what they have on premise. Obviously, it is seen from a distance and it is far away from their nose and their eye line. Therefore, they might think. Uh, we have a expert here today with us, our enterprise architect, Pravin Kumar Mishra. What we'll do in this next few minutes is find out why cloud is more secure and it can be operated as secure. So, uh, hi, Pravin. Welcome to this podcast,
Hi,
and I
Srini.
hope everything is fine with you.
Yeah, hi, Srini. Glad to be part of this Cloud Mythbuster series. So I'm happy to clarify the issues, myths, and other aspects to the extent possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very glad, Pravin, that you could make your time. And this is important that we dispel some of these myths. And this entire Mythbuster is about that. Before I start, Pravin, I think it'll be good if you could spend some time introducing yourself as what you do in this organization and what you do as an Azure expert.
Yeah. So my name is Pravin Kumar Mishra. I have got more than 20 years of experience in cloud technologies. I have been working on almost all cloud services and infrastructure for more than 12 years now. So in Sonata, my role is of an enterprise architect who solves the issues. Interacts with the team, with the customers, and then tries to give a vision to the customers so that they can proceed in their cloud journey. So I will like to leverage some of the skills and competencies I have in answering to some of the questions that you may have been. Yeah, Srini.
Yeah, and I know that Praveen, you're also helping most of our teams around the security aspect of our implementation. So glad that you are here. So it's without further uh, questioning and other things, what we will focus on why uh, the cloud is this myth about why cloud is less secure. So uh, what we will do is, why do you think this general feeling is there that cloud is an insecure platform compared to on-prem? Can you just explain that, Praveen, from your point of view?
Yeah, yeah. Sure. So I have seen growth of cloud from beginning. So probably 10 years back, when cloud came, then it was thought that it is less secure than the on-prem data center because of the myth that everything has to be on internet and all that, say mental picture associated with the people. But gradually, when this whole knowledge started building, and then various cloud vendors came with various frameworks and how they secure, then this myth, this has become a myth. So I think cloud is much more secure than any on-premise data center because here in cloud. Even if the admin's credential is compromised, then the services are secured leveraging some techniques like role-based access control, say authorizations, some secret token exchanges and all, which is not available in conventional data center. So cloud is more secure, if not less, right? Than a conventional data center. Even if the administrator goes, then there are many ways in which we can provide role-based access and all, so that root access or root compromise is not an issue at all with cloud, right? So that's why we should take a look based on what is available as security posture or security feature in the cloud, right? I hope this helps you in digesting this concept and answer, right, Srini?
Absolutely. Thank you, Pravin. I think one of the things that we are also noticing, right, increasingly we see that there's a huge amount of ransomware attack, and we have also seen that, some of the customers have complained that their ability to restore themselves once a ransomware attack has happened on premise. And given that if the same customer exists in cloud and how soon they can actually reactivate themselves, can you throw some light as to how organizations can deal with this complete ransomware attack and then data protection around that?
Yeah, sure. So first thing to understand is that there is a shared responsibility model for security. So as per that model, to be very simplistic, network configuration, the application identity, operating system implementing the security, that is left with the customer, right? So cloud vendor supports, but ultimately the responsibility is of customer. Cloud vendor will secure the infrastructure only. So based on this concept that has come, security breaches can be avoided by implementing the tools and various measures that are available in the cloud platform. All cloud vendors have got lots of say security, which is cloud native as well. Azure has got Azure Security Center, Azure Defender, and lots of other security posture management techniques. Sentinel and all. AWS also has SIAM services. GCP also has. So if we implement these services properly, then all sorts of breaches, not only the data breaches, but all sorts of breaches can be avoided, detected, and system can be made resilient so that it is back to the operational level with lots of security, additional security that is added, right? Once the
Right.
breach is detected. So that is quite possible, right? So I'll pause here and look for any other.
If you can throw a little bit light on how soon and how does cloud make people to come back quickly to the market, right? For example, we have seen if it is on-premise ransomware, then unless you pay, you are not coming out. If you can throw light in terms of how cloud can make it, for example, even if it is attacked, how cloud can make it easy for people to be restored back. Can you just throw two lines of light on that, Praveen?
Yeah, so even if some system is compromised, then these implementations are such that it is very near to the attacker. So first level of security is very near to the attacker. So first level of compromise will happen very near to the attacker, the system. So hardening can be done in such a way that attacker is prevented at all layers. And once it is detected, then system is restored because logs and all are getting monitored, and then auto say there's a way to basically get the system back automatically once we eliminate that particular type of attack and the damage caused by that attack. So that is inherent in these tools, right? Auto restore
Right.
is inherent, right?
Right. Thank you, Praveen. I think that restores a lot of confidence about cloud. The other aspect that we are seeing is, okay, cloud probably secure, but the feeling is that no, maybe it's implementing cloud or security aspects in cloud is very expensive. Can you throw some light on that?
Security services are now as platform as a service. That means they are also following pay-as-you-go model. So we will pay for security also as per our data consumption pattern, right? So you know that I will spend lots of money for securing. So as and when my consumption increases, I start paying more for security. So that's why this is not very expensive process for securing a cloud platform, right? Because I will pay only when I consume. So
Right.
it is like any other model for any service in the cloud.
So in summary, what you're saying is it is the almost similar cost to what we spend on premise, just that there are additional elements that need to be considered when we go into the cloud. So if let us say if as a company, the aspects that I as an implementer, right, what should I consider for given that no, I have to protect my customer data, I might have to protect my partner data, I might have to protect the entire deployments that I'm making, and that is accessed by many people, right? So what do you think what should be my considerations before I actually operate within the cloud?
So cloud has got lots of security measures and configurations. As I told, the implementation is left to the customer. So for example, if I want to protect my customers, my partners, my vendors, then I will create a separate secured private virtual network for each of them. There is a design pattern for that. And then if my customers are in some other domain or they are on premise, then there are built-in services to securely connect them to the cloud. So it is called express route, or it is through secured IPsec VPNs. Express route is specific to Azure, and direct cloud connect exists for AWS. So these are basically some very secured mechanism to connect my partners and vendors who are on premise. And cloud networking is very important. It secures intra network communication, leveraging uh, peering and all, which are all on private backbone of the cloud vendor. So it is not something that can be easily compromised, because private backbone is say 5-6 times more secure than the customer implemented security measures, say encryption and all. So leveraging these features, all my partners, vendors, anybody who interacts with the cloud-based system is secured, and that is guaranteed by cloud vendor. Breaching these security measures are not is not seen in recent past. Some of the mitigations which have been also introduced are also there. For example, DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack. To mitigate, now there is a service. Every vendor has got a service which implements that. So security basically is not to be worried for anybody who intends to do business on the cloud with us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think thanks for that answer, Pravin. But see, now that you talk about the provider, right, in your conversation, so that means as a provider of these services to enterprises who actually implement those services, there should be certain kind of compliances that cloud has to inherently adherent. Lot of continental data sovereignty, and then there's elements of protection described by each country. So given all these things, what sort of compliances does a typical cloud provider ensures and is compliant to? Can you throw some light on that?
Yes. So all cloud providers have to get themselves certified on international security standards like ISO 27001, 27002, SOX, COBIT, ITIL, SAS 70, or for that matter, for any domain specific requirement that may arise. So that certification is available and can be asked for from the cloud provider, and they'll be happy to share. So some of the implementations apart from these compliance certificates, can also be got certified by third-party auditors on security, and cloud vendors are more than happy to extend support for that. So there is no difference between the security standards, compliance standards that are applicable to cloud platform vendors and the on-premise data center large implementations, right? I've been part of many of these audits also, so I know that this is a fact, right? In fact, there may be many more which I have missed, but security-wise, certifications-wise, there's a whole list available which can be verified and got audited also independently.
Absolutely. I know that you worked several years with Microsoft and you've been involved in some of these things. So I know that you are the right person to talk on this area. Let's move from the cloud provider side to the organization again. And from an organization standpoint, there are multiple and different types of workloads that they bring into cloud, right? So can you throw that, all these different types of workloads are inherently brought into cloud securely and then also are preserved in the cloud securely. Can you talk about that?
Various type of workloads like streaming workload, batch workload, all of them are secured from data standard, data security standards, application security standards, and networking security standards.
Right.
So when I talk application, then authentication is governed by standards like OAuth 2, uh, either through Azure's or AWS's Active Directory or IAM, say, framework, or through third-party frameworks like Spring Security, which are very popular. So those can be implemented, and any service which application service which we want to access needs to get a valid token which is validated by OAuth vendor. So that's how it is done. Second thing that happens is that for accessing any service, the service generates a token. So that is called SaaS token. So only after that service token is sent to the service, then we can access the service. So by default, it is denial. So no user is allowed to access the service either from internet unless some configurations are done without permission from the service. So this is the height of this. This is the security feature for application security. Similarly, for database security, the data which are sitting at rest in the database are secured by highest level of encryption, and to decrypt, to use the data, the decryption framework is there, and then it is world-class standard. So 128-bit encryption is mandatory. Keys are secured. Keys are kept secured in a key vault. Accessing and compromising the key vault is also is also not possible easily. And then the most of the connections are through private links. So private links means internet access is not allowed. So data at rest, data in transit, which is the encryption, and the application security. They are all implemented with different levels depending on the use case, and are audited. So to certify a architecture or a implementation secured, there are stringent measures. Cloud vendor has got some frameworks to conduct testing also for the security, and then only the implementation goes live. So basically, uh, today it has become a myth only. The reality is that it is absolutely secure, any cloud implementation, if done properly with all the guidelines from the cloud vendors, right?
Yeah, thanks, Pravin. I think done privately or done properly is a very good statement to end with. I think even if there are such done properly scenarios, there will be still some incidents, and then there should be a way or strategy to ensure that we are able to identify and then recover fast. Can you throw some light around how an organization can look at this and then can identify incidents as well as recover fast?
Yeah, so to identify the incidents, uh, uh, there is a very specific security concept which focuses on layered security incident identification, right? So so we basically identify what could be the source, where can it attack, and things like that. So to give you some very specific examples, how it happens is we implement frameworks like hypothesis frameworks. We implement something which is called indicator of compromise. And there is very specific term like TTP. So TTP stands for tactics, techniques, and procedure. So all these are data-driven methods. So based on the past analytics of attacks, all these matrices are implemented. Some of them are also operational matrices like trend comparison, service level comparison, compromises, and all that. And the framework that is derived leverages the tools that is given by vendors, and I talked about these tools earlier, to implement. So that the recovery is very fast, and identification is also fast, right? So it is basically a business-centric and operation-centric implementation supported by technology, which helps us identify the incident very fast, and then ensure that the recovery is also extremely fast, right? So that is how cloud systems are called resilient to the
Okay.
extent possible. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Praveen. And if I might come to my last question, right? So we have discussed about the cloud and their security. We have discussed about the workloads and their security. Uh, we also, yeah, we can you give some idea in terms of how a someone, an architect who is considering implementing these things need to need to what kind of consideration they need to take to make this happen in their organization? Can you discuss about that?
Sure. Some of it I hinted earlier, so I'll just summarize. So first thing that the architect needs to consider is implementation of a organization specific Active Directory. Active Directory implementation, global implementation needs to be planned, and then authentication mechanisms, various security tokens, measures, placement of firewalls, integration of services with Active Directory. All that needs to be architected first, and then your services needs to be compliant to this Active Directory implementation, and should be basically deployed first to start with. This is the layered security approach, should be deployed, and then we have to see whether the system runs or not. Once this is done, then we will focus in wave 2 on network security implementation. So there we have got network security group, so we can restrict access through well-defined IPs. And there are many more like private links for services that needs to be implemented. Database communication needs to be secured, so architecture for that. So all that goes to wave 2, which secures the infrastructure and the application. And then in governance and monitoring frameworks like some of the security center features or equivalent features for other vendors should also be implemented in the last phase, which can be basically done after the architecture and the deployment stabilizes. So all these design patterns are well documented by all vendors, so that the skill required to implement them can be learnt very fast. So that is one another feature of cloud say platforms. The documentation is very extensive, exhaustive, and complete. Getting the skills is also not a big challenge. So I think in nutshell, this is what I want to talk about the architectural implementation. Unless you have any specific question on that.
I think that is good enough at this point in time, Pravin. I think it was wonderful talking to you, and I'm sure there are a lot of audiences who would now consider that and listen to you, and then feel that there are ways to make sure that cloud is more secure, and then there are ways to ensure that happens. There are capabilities that are there within the cloud, and obviously the cost of implementation is not really very high, and the skills are available. That is what you mentioned in the last. And then there is a certain way of implementing. That's what you mentioned as well. So I think this helps us to make sure that the customers or people who are looking at cloud think that it is not really less secure. And then I think we have busted that thought today. And then I'm glad that you have been part of this series and you helped people and our listeners understand why cloud is more secure. Thank you, Praveen.
Pleasure is mine. Glad to be part of the discussion, and I really enjoyed it. Right. Thank you very much, Srini.
Thank you all for joining us today. And please join us in our next bust, where we're going to talk about the cloud adoption aspects and then why transitioning to cloud is seen as complex. I'm sure that is also a bust. It is carefully be planned, but I think it is not really complex. It requires thought. So we will discuss about that in our next myth. Thank you very much for joining us today.